Shalom. This week's Torah portion of Bishalach begins with the children of Israel on the move. And this Shabbat is a special Sabbath known as Shabbat Shirah, the Sabbath of song, in honor of the Song of the Sea found in our Parsha, which was sung by Moshe and the people of Israel when the entire nation was miraculously led through the sea on dry land. That happened on the 7th day of Passover. A full month after departing from Egypt, on the 15th day of the month of Iyar, the children of Israel ran out of food in the desert. God immediately took care of their needs. That very night, a flock of quail arrived at the camp. And beginning the next morning, manna, known in Hebrew as man, began to fall from heaven. This miraculous food began to fall daily each morning and continued to accompany the Israelites for the 40 years of their desert wanderings until they entered into the land of Israel following Moshe's death. In chapter 16 of our Parsha, we begin to learn about the manna. Our sages teach so many amazing things about this unprecedented divine phenomenon. It tasted, for example, like anything a person desired. The manner in which it had to be gathered served as a litmus test of a person standing in Hashem's eyes. The righteous would rise in the morning to find it conveniently placed and waiting at the doors of their tents. The average person had to walk a bit and go out of the camp to gather what fell there. And the wicked, they had to go quite far to find their allotted portion. And so too, those of upstanding character saved lots of preparation time. For the righteous, it fell ready to eat like completely baked bread. For the average person, some preparation was required and it needed to be baked. The wicked received it as raw material that had to be processed and refined by grinding in a mill. Each person was told to gather the same amount, the measure of an omer. Yet the amount each received was exactly enough for the daily requirements of the individual or the entire household, whatever the case. Those whose needs were less received their proper amount, while those whose needs were greater also got exactly enough from the same amount. And each Friday, the eve of Shabbat, a double portion fell for each person, for none would fall on Shabbat. And you know, if a person had, let's say, big eyes and took more than he needed, maybe he took more because he was worried about where's his next meal coming from, or he was worried about tomorrow, what would happen? Moshe had warned them, let no one leave over any of it until morning. But some men did not obey Moshe and left over some of it until morning, and it bred worms and became putrid. That's what our Parsha tells us. Like the lust for money, for owning, for material possession, to have for the sake of having, when it becomes an obsession for us, when it becomes all about hoarding the thing itself, when we are not willing to rely on Hashem's providence for tomorrow, then our money turns into decay and rot. In Psalms chapter 78 and verse 25, King David calls the manna the bread of angels. Referring to this period of the Israelites in the desert, he writes, humans ate the bread of angels. He sent them food for satisfaction. In the Hebrew of this verse, the bread of angels is lechem abirim, but the word abirim is also connected to the word evarim, limbs or internal organs. Fun fact, throughout all the years in the desert, the Israelites never experienced the passing of waste from their bodies. In this verse, King David alludes to this secret, that the manna produced no waste byproduct, but was absorbed directly into the organs, nourishing the body in total purity. There was no impurity to be expunged, and to be able to eat the manna required living a holy, clean life, because once inside a person, it acted like an X-ray and illuminated exactly what type of a person one really was, penetrating to reveal what was hidden in the deepest cavities. It was like a truth serum. In the words of our sages, the manna that was eaten shone a light as strong as the words of the prophets upon the soul of each individual, showing what needed to be changed, fixed, what shortcomings needed to be addressed. But open up your heart in the deepest way. One of the most amazing aspects of the whole story is that here Hashem is literally spoon-feeding his children, as it were, from his own table. His love for them is clear and overwhelming. But when they saw it, open up your heart. Chapter 16 and verse 15 tells us, they said to each other in Hebrew, manhu, which literally means, what is it? Because, continues the verse, they did not know what it is. Unbelievable. Hashem is feeding them, and as he's feeding them, they're saying to each other, what is it? And indeed, in Deuteronomy chapter 8 and verse 3, in Parashat Akev, in Moshe Rabbeinu's review, he reminds his people, and he afflicted you and let you go hungry, and then fed you with manna, which you did not know, nor did your forefathers know, so that he would make you know that man does not live by bread alone, but whatever comes forth from the mouth of Hashem does man live. No wonder we find another two very unusual things about this manna from heaven that we see right here in the verses of our portion. Hashem said to Moshe, "Behold, I am raining down for you bread from heaven. Let the people go out and pick each day's portion on its day, so that I can test them, whether they will follow my Torah or not." You know, there's no other instance in Torah of something like this, of Hashem announcing that this is a test. God gives the people their daily needs and states emphatically, "Let them go out and pick each day's portion so that I can test them whether they follow my Torah or not." Nor do we find something like this. God commanded Moshe to set aside a portion of manna as a testimony, as a safekeeping for all generations. Aaron placed this manna in a jar inside the Holy of Holies of the desert tabernacle. It was later placed inside the Holy of Holies in the Holy Temple in Jerusalem. Since we know that Torah is eternal and all of its lessons are eternal, then for us now, something about the manna must be for all time, for our generation as well. This is not ancient history. It's not history at all, but now. And to me, the most amazing thing of all is that verse. The children of Israel saw and said to one another, "Manhu, what is it?" For they did not know what it is. But now open up your heart in the very, very deepest way. These two words, manhu, what is it? The letters of these words form another word exactly. They form the word emunah, faith. Emunah, faith in Hashem, that's what this is all about. That was the test to see if you will follow my Torah or not. That was the purpose of putting some away in the holy place as a perpetual reminder. The subject of the manna is eternal indeed and very relevant to all of us today. Everything about this life of ours, and especially about how Hashem provides for us, always was and always is and always will be about emunah, faith in Hashem, a test and a testimony of faith. This whole portion of Torah that teaches us about the manna our ancestors ate is the foundation of the secret of livelihood and reminds us how Hashem provides for each and every one of us and for the whole world. And we may think that this scenario of the manna, of Hashem directly feeding people, we may think that this never happened again, that it was a one-time occurrence in history, a special treat for that generation. But the verse states, "Behold, I am raining down for you bread from heaven." In the present tense, I am raining down for you bread from heaven now, always. Hashem cares for us in the same way. He constantly prepares our livelihood and gives us all what we need directly from heaven. Just as he gives rain, he gives us our livelihood. And the vessel we need to prepare in order to properly receive it is faith and trust. Let's go back to that verse in Deuteronomy, Moshe's statement. "And he afflicted you and let you go hungry and then fed you with manna, which you did not know, nor did your forefathers know, so that he would make you know that man does not live by bread alone, but rather by whatever comes forth from the mouth of Hashem does man live." But of course a human being needs a physical food to survive. What does that even mean, that man lives by whatever comes forth from the mouth of Hashem? Not by bread alone, but rather by whatever comes forth from the mouth of Hashem. What does that mean? So open up your heart. The part of the food that sustains us, that sustains the soul, the aspect that gives us life, the part that we are focusing our consciousness on when we make a blessing over our food, is the part that comes from the mouth of Hashem. Because the blessing is not on the wrapper, on the container. It's all about the inside. And that goes as well for all the food we eat, meaning for everything and every situation, the blessing that Hashem brings us. It's not about the external trappings and wrappings and circumstances. During these 40 days in the desert, our fathers were able to contemplate this truth. And they finally saw, realized, understood, and knew that they were eating, they were surviving, they were living, they were flourishing from the mouth of Hashem. And this is the meaning of this verse. Eating the manna taught that generation to see past the external trappings and realize that we are being sustained by the mouth of Hashem. Torah is eternal, and this is being said today. And this is all happening right now in the lives of each and every one of us. People tend to view the old days with nostalgia and say those were the good old days. But if Hashem is running the world, then he can only be running it well, and the best is yet to come. The preponderance of man-made falsehood in our world creates a plethora of anxiety. But it's all an illusion, because Hashem constantly provides for this world. It's up to each individual to make his or her personal tikkun, to fix that which we have to fix in this world so that we can get past the anxiety and illusion and be ready to receive the manna he wants to give us, each of us according to our needs. Recognizing that everything we receive and everything we have is not through our own efforts at all, but from Hashem alone. That's the constant and true test of faith. So open up your heart in the deepest way. A story is told about the holy Baal Shem Tov. Early one Friday morning, he had nothing in the house, no food for Shabbat, and no money. Walking through the forest, he came upon a house and knocked on the door once. Then he kept on walking. The home's occupant was awakened by the knock, and being a kind-hearted person, thinking that someone might need help, he quickly got dressed and went to answer the door. Nobody was there. But off in the distance, he sees a figure walking. So he ran after him until he reached him, and he said, "Are you the one who knocked on my door?" "Yes," replied the Baal Shem Tov, "it was I." "Why did you knock on my door?" the man asked. "Because I need help," said the Baal Shem Tov. "So then, why didn't you stay until I came to the door? Why did you knock and then leave?" "Thank you, my friend, for answering the door. It's true," replied the holy Baal Shem Tov. "I am in need of help. But it doesn't have to come from you." In other words, this master's level of emunah, of faith, was so great that he felt total dependence on Hashem himself and could not consider that a person could help him. He knew all he had to do was show that he was creating a vessel to receive Hashem's blessing, that he was making an effort. It was an activation of the lower arousal. The knock on the door showed Hashem that he was ready to do his part. Blessed is the man who trusts in Hashem. Hashem shall be his trust, Jeremiah tells us in chapter 17. The holy Baal Shem Tov was so far from thinking that a person could have any sort of control, so far from falling for the illusion, the scam, that blessing could come from any other source than straight from Hashem, like the manna, that he didn't even wait by the door. "It doesn't have to be you," he said. "I'll thank you and appreciate you very much if you are Hashem's agent in helping me. But honestly, this has got nothing to do with you, and however Hashem chooses to give me is fine." He was free. He was able to say to his potential benefactor, "Yes, yes, no, no, it doesn't have to be you. Hashem provides for everyone." So it comes through a messenger, but he's only a messenger. Nothing is ours to give. We are only giving to others what Hashem gives us. And in his compassion and mercy, with divine wisdom, Hashem provides. The manna of our forefathers reminds us of our goal, to look to thank Hashem, to recognize him in our lives, to develop the emunah, the faith we need to realize that all our blessing in this world comes from him alone. Please remember to hit the like button and subscribe to our channel. If you enjoy these presentations and benefit from these teachings, please consider helping Jerusalem Lights with your support. Only your support enables these broadcasts to continue and grow.